out and collect everybody's phone. So now it's just your word against a billionaire. You're gonna lose. Read this right there from that young man.
Yeah, nah, this is a real issue. And I think Diddy's lawyers are right when you're talking about somebody who's not, supposed to not be able to be accessed in this way.
And that's super scary. If he, in fact, woke up with a knife to his throat, I mean, that's freaking...
You know that feeling when you wake up in the middle of the night and your body just knows something is off? That cold sweat creeping up your spine? The kind where the room feels too quiet, like the air itself stopped moving? Now picture that feeling, but it's not a bad dream. It's the sound of a homemade blade scraping across concrete inch by inch, getting closer to your cell. And the man holding it isn't some random inmate looking for trouble. He's a messenger, and the message is clear. Nobody forgot Quad Studios. That's the reality for Sean Diddy Combs right now, locked inside Brooklyn's most infamous detention facility, a place where the walls don't just hold inmates, they hold history. History that doesn't fade, no matter how much time passes. The memory of Tupac Shakur bleeding out in that lobby after being shot 5 times is still heavy. The memory of Biggie Smalls slumped in his car just 6 months later, hit with bullets in Los Angeles, still feels raw. And the men sharing space with Diddy weren't just alive when it happened. They grew up on those stories. So when that blade pressed against his throat in the dead of night, it wasn't just prison tension. It felt like a receipt, a long overdue bill tied to 1994. And the wild part? The world thinks Diddy's biggest problem is his current legal case, when the past is clearly still knocking. That's just the appetizer. The main course is darker. 2 deaths hip-hop never got justice for. And Brooklyn always collects.
We haven't seen the indictments yet. There's been some time lag. I suppose it will take some time to go through all the forensic,
That footage 50 Cent recently blurred out? Yeah, that one. The clip where Diddy looks like he just saw a ghost isn't some random prison moment. That's a man who knows exactly why a blade ended up at his throat. His eyes moving fast, shoulders tight, body braced like impact is coming. His voice cracking when he reportedly begged for a transfer to New Jersey says everything. That's not panic, that's recognition. Because let's be real, this is the same Diddy who once ruled New York. Private jets, custom everything, moving like the city belonged to him, and now he's waking up on a steel slab in an 8x10 cell, staring at cinder block walls, surrounded by men raised during the East Coast-West Coast War. Men who remember what went down at Quad Studios in 1994. Men who, according to Char Lucy Finney, sent a clear message. Next time, you won't be so lucky. And if that sounds like prison talk to you, then you haven't been paying attention. Because this situation was never just about the current legal case. The second that blade touched his throat, the second that footage hit the internet, everything shifted. This stopped being about charges. This became about survival. And in the streets, the word is simple. Brooklyn's inmates aren't just locked up. They're watching, remembering, and settling old scores. Because when you're locked inside a place like MDC Brooklyn, a jail so notorious people call it hell on earth, money stops meaning anything. This is the same place where R. Kelly and Ghislaine Maxwell learned the hard way that status doesn't equal protection. You don't just end up with a shiv at your throat by accident. That's a statement. That's a verdict. And if you're Diddy, that verdict feels final.
That footage ended up going to 50 Cent and his production company, and it's kind of the centerpiece.
Sold to them.
Yes, was the centerpiece of the documentary. So watch this particular scene, because this is where a lot of people feel Diddy really screwed over someone that he should be very, very...
Now let's talk about that 50 Cent leak, because that's where everything starts to crack. The footage shows Diddy looking like a man who just realized his past isn't catching up. It's circling. His posture says it all. Head low, eyes moving, like someone who knows the clock ran out. And the timing couldn't be crazier, because while the public was locked in on the trial, on testimony, on rumors about luxury assets and offshore moves, something darker was building behind the scenes. That's where Gene Deal comes in. A man who was inside Diddy's circle for years dropped claims that shook hip-hop to its core. According to Gene, Diddy wasn't just near Quad Studios the night Tupac Shakur was shot. He says Diddy was there, not to record, not to hang out, but to watch. Let that sit for a second. November 30th, 1994. Tupac pulls up to Quad Studios to record a verse for Little Sean. Instead, he's robbed, shot 5 times, and left bleeding in the lobby. Gene claims Diddy was inside the building, sitting in Jimmy Henchman's office when it went down. Shakur allegedly owed money, and Henchman wasn't someone you negotiated with. And according to Gene, Diddy stayed put. He didn't leave. He didn't rush to Biggie's session. He waited. Then the elevator doors opened. Tupac stepped out, wounded, barely standing. Gene says Diddy's people were right there watching. Tupac looked up at them, and in that moment, everyone understood exactly what time it was. That was the moment the war really started. The moment Tupac Shakur decided the East Coast was the enemy. And according to Gene, that was also the moment Diddy's fate was sealed.
How many people he affected negatively, that was his trade-off to gain what he had. His former bodyguard, Gene Deal, said he seen him doing a ritual where they a dove. What is that? And I feel like it's being overlooked because they see him doing the dance moves with the baggy clothes. You know, some of the ladies in his videos were trans.
Fast forward to Las Vegas, 1996. Tupac is riding in a white Cadillac after leaving the MGM Grand when shots ring out. 6 days later, he's gone. Just like that. For decades, the case stayed cold. No arrests, no closure. Until 2023, when Keith D, an alleged Southside Crips figure and alleged trigger man, was arrested. And once he started talking, the story got louder. Keith D allegedly claimed that Diddy ordered the hit, furious over Tupac's diss records. He allegedly said there was $1 million bounty on Tupac and Suge Knight's heads. And then things got even stranger. According to street accounts, Eric Von Zip, another name from that era, allegedly flashed a check. $1 million, traceable. Paper doesn't lie and trails don't just disappear. As Gene puts it, street memory doesn't fade either. Now connect the dots, because this is where it turns real. Diddy is locked up, Keith D is in custody, and federal investigators have files. They have statements. They have a recorded 2008 interview where Keith D allegedly said Diddy wanted Suge and Tupac gone. There's also a 2009 police interview where he reportedly repeated the same claim. Same story, same names, same pattern. To be clear, law enforcement has said Diddy has never been officially charged or named a suspect in the case. That matters. But on the street level, his name keeps surfacing, not as paperwork, as presence, as motive, as money. And now he's locked up in the one place where the past doesn't stay buried, where the men in the next cell remember the diss tracks, remember Quad Studios, remember Vegas, and they aren't just inmates, they're living memory.
We're in the unit that was one floor above mine, you know, so in terms of like the setting, it's a fairly decent chance that the room I'm describing is similar to where Diddy is. Yeah.
And here's the kicker. Diddy has been trying to get out, hard. Reports say he's been scrambling, pulling every string he can. One move that raised eyebrows was a reported letter sent directly to Donald Trump asking for a pardon. Trump allegedly brushed it off, even joked with reporters about it. But for Diddy, this wasn't funny at all. When you're facing years inside a place like MDC Brooklyn, where stabbings happen in plain sight, where basic systems break down, where days pass in darkness, desperation kicks in. In that kind of pressure, pride disappears. You do whatever might buy you an exit. That includes unloading assets fast. His private jet, once valued around $30 million, suddenly gone. The same jet he used constantly, the same one he showed off online, sold, re-registered overseas in San Marino. On paper, it looks like business. To others, it looks like someone cleaning house. But here's what most people are missing. While the headlines frame this as another fallen mogul story, the real drama is happening off camera. Because MDC Brooklyn isn't just a jail. It's a pressure cooker, and Diddy is sitting right in the middle of it. That blade at his throat wasn't random. It was a message, a reminder that Brooklyn doesn't forget. The men locked in there have long memories and nothing but time. Time to talk, time to connect dots, time to decide how they feel about the man sharing their air. And Diddy isn't just another inmate, he's a symbol, and symbols draw attention. He's the guy who, according to Kirk Burrow, pushed Biggie to go to Los Angeles even when Biggie didn't want to. The guy who, according to Gene Deal, refused to bring in extra security that night. The guy who, according to Clark Kent, helped line up that final trip connected to the Peterson Automotive Museum. And when Biggie was shot, suddenly there were no answers, just silence. The same silence that followed when Tupac Shakur was jumped. The same silence after federal agents raided his homes. The same silence when allegations surfaced about controlling behavior, recordings, and power dynamics described during Cassie Ventura's testimony. Every time the heat turned up, the response stayed the same. No explanation, no accountability, just quiet. Now that silence is louder than ever, because MDC Brooklyn isn't just a jail. It's a graveyard for reputations, careers, and legacies. Diddy is reportedly being held in special housing for protection, but let's be honest, in a place where people get harmed inside their own cells, where the government has paid millions over conditions, Where power outages leave inmates in darkness for days, protection doesn't mean safety. And Diddy knows that. That's why he's pushing for a transfer. That's why his legal team keeps appealing. And that's why the 50 Cent footage isn't just internet chatter. It feels like a warning. The streets are talking, and the message is simple.
Well, I mean, inmates have procedures all the time. I mean, you have folks there with cancer, you have folks there with, serious other chronic diseases. And sometimes it does require individuals to have surgery even while they're on pretrial status.
Time is tightening. Here's the part that really makes people think. Why keep him locked up if he's supposedly not a flight risk? Why deny bail when he has a multi-million-dollar home in Miami? Why hold him in a facility where the danger is obvious unless there's another reason? Unless investigators are waiting, letting the pressure build, letting old ghosts knock louder and louder, waiting for the moment the walls close in enough that he cracks, that he talks, that he gives them what they really want. A link, a name, a connection to Keith D, and answers about Tupac Shakur. A confession buried in fear, because let's stop pretending this is about adult services. This is about power. This is about violence. This is about two rap legends who lost their lives in a storm of bullets, and a third man who was always close. In the studio, in the headlines, in the rumors. And now he's sitting in a cell with a target on his back, feeling the walls close in. The question isn't if Diddy's past is catching up to him. It's when. And in a place like MDC Brooklyn, when can mean tonight. But here's what they're not saying out loud. According to insiders, federal authorities aren't just holding him over adult-related charges. That's the surface story. The deeper play, they claim, is that prosecutors are quietly stacking something bigger, a case that has nothing to do with parties or financial violations, but something far darker. And one name keeps resurfacing in those sealed conversations: Keith D, the man accused in the Las Vegas shooting. The man who, in a reported 2008 federal interview, allegedly said Diddy wanted Tupac Shakur and Suge Knight gone. The man who, according to old informant claims, said $1 million was offered to make it happen. Officially, the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department has said Diddy was never a suspect in Tupac's case. That matters. But read the wording closely. Never a suspect doesn't mean never discussed. It doesn't mean never examined. And in cases this old, this layered, that gap is where the truth usually hides.
It's probably leaning towards guilt. Now, on the racketeering, I agree with you that the predicate acts may be found, but that's not all they need. There's an ultimate question. The first question on the jury verdict form is, do you find him guilty or not guilty of racketeering? Before you even get to the predicate acts, which you only get to if you find guilt, they could just be hung up on that question and say, this guy's not Tony Soprano. I am not convinced that I even want to find guilt.
Here's the reality. The appeals, the pardon letters, the rushed asset sales, none of it may matter. Because while the public stays distracted by headlines and spectacle, the real movement is happening quietly in the background. And one detail keeps standing out: Keith D's trial hasn't started yet. But the feds aren't waiting, they're listening. And according to sources close to the investigation, what they're hearing is that Diddy's time in prison isn't just punishment, it's leverage. Because when you're locked in a cell with a target on your back, when every day feels uncertain, when the men around you whisper about Quad Studios in Las Vegas 96, something changes. People start talking. And investigators know that. That's why insiders say they're keeping him exactly where he is. Isolated, exposed, under pressure. Because the moment fear outweighs loyalty, bargaining begins. The moment a name gets offered, a connection hinted at, a story cracked open, that's when a different case takes shape. And don't get it twisted. The charges he's already facing, those are just the entry point, the surface layer. According to speculation, the deeper concern is whether there's a larger conspiracy case being built. One tied to old grudges, old money, and a trail that some claim points back toward Bad Boy Records. Which brings this back to Biggie. Because this story was never only about Tupac. Federal attention, sources say, has circled both deaths for years, and the questions haven't changed. Why, as Kirk Burrow has asked repeatedly, did Diddy push Biggie to go to Los Angeles when Biggie didn't want to? Why override his artist instincts, his fears, his repeated concerns about the West Coast?
With the series, with the film.
I mean, I think the intention is to give a more full-bodied experience to what happened, you know, from the people that agreed to sit down and to participate. And I feel like the film asks a lot of questions, you know, maybe more questions are asked than answers given.
And here's the part that still raises eyebrows. According to Gene Deal, Diddy didn't just brush off those worries. He refused to bring in additional security that night. Not because money was tight. Diddy's own team was heavily protected. Biggie's convoy wasn't. It was smaller, looser, exposed. And when Clark Kent, Biggie's DJ and close friend, allegedly asked why they were even there, Biggie's response, according to accounts, sent a chill through everyone who heard it. It was set up by Sean and someone else. Let that sit for a second. Because if Diddy knew the risks, knew the threats, knew the long history between the coasts, and still sent Biggie out there with a skeleton crew, that's not simple negligence. That's something much darker. And according to sources, federal investigators are connecting dots. Here's what's clear. Diddy's legal team has been fighting nonstop to get him out of MDC Brooklyn, calling the conditions inhumane, dangerous, a violation of his rights. But the judges haven't moved an inch. And that makes sense because when you're dealing with someone who spent decades surrounded by lawyers, fixers, and people who made problems disappear, the only way to reach him is to put him somewhere he can't control. Somewhere like the special housing unit in Brooklyn, a place where lights flicker, systems fail, and the men around you aren't just inmates. They're memory holders, witnesses to history, people who haven't forgotten. The streets haven't forgotten, investigators haven't forgotten, and the names Tupac Shakur and Biggie Smalls still hang heavy in the air. The longer he stays there, the more the pressure builds. Because Diddy isn't just fighting a legal battle anymore, he's fighting for survival. Now think about the two futures waiting on the other side of those walls. If he ever walks out, in one future, he serves his time, says nothing, and comes out a broken figure. No jets, no mansions, no power. Just a former mogul living under the weight of whispers that never fade. A reputation crushed not just by charges, but by rumors of blood on his hands. And then there's the second future, the one that should keep him awake at night. In that version, Diddy doesn't walk free. He walks out in cuffs, not over adult-related charges, not over financial crimes, but over a life taken, and the pieces are already out there. Keith D's statements, old informant reports, $1 million payment, a pattern that keeps pointing in the same direction. Two rap legends, both gunned down in their prime, both connected to Diddy in ways that were never fully explained. And now the feds have time, resources, and a man sitting in a cell who's running out of both. But here's the part that should make everyone pause. If investigators really are building something bigger, if they're waiting for Diddy to crack, if prison pressure is being used to flip him or break him, then the real question isn't about guilt or innocence. It's about justice. Tupac Shakur and Biggie Smalls have been gone for decades. Their families have waited. Fans have waited. The culture has waited. And if Diddy knows something, if he was involved, or if he holds answers the world has been demanding for years, then maybe this moment isn't just about punishment. Maybe it's about closure. Maybe it's about two legends who never got the justice they deserve. And maybe Diddy's prison sentence isn't the end of his story. Maybe it's the beginning of someone else finally getting answers. So this is where we leave it, because the truth is still out there. And the next move, whether it's a confession, a conviction, or a cover-up, is coming. The only question is, who's ready for it? One thing's clear, Diddy isn't sleeping easy tonight, and neither should we. If you found this breakdown interesting, make sure to like, subscribe, share this video, and drop your thoughts in the comments. Stay sharp, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next one.